All right, Detroit Belle Isle. I was looking forward to this track when I saw it on the calendar. One of my faves. If you like driving race cars, this is a fun track. Not always the funnest to race on. If you're new to Detroit, if there is a collision, if there's a car crashing, it does tend to collect a lot of people, so watch out for that. Uh, Big difference from the iRacing setup. Car's not quite as low as it goes. Minus 16, this is a really bumpy track, so I kind of softened things up a little bit. I found the car skipping around quite a bit. Uh, damper compression is softened. Brake pressure 57%, so a little bit lower if you can. If you're locking up too much, though, do increase that. That'll help out. Spring rate's as low as it goes. Toe in is turned up. Rear spring rate is down as low as it goes, and toe is turned up. Ride height in the rear, again, not quite as low as it goes. ARB is 10. If you want more rotation in the car, you might want to try uh, adding one notch to that, making it, I think, 15 mils the next one up. Um, but yeah, it's I'm a little more comfortable with the 10. And rear dampers are softened up as well. Gear stack is standard. The short stack is nice, but you'll get eaten alive in the straights. 14 liters, I think, gets you about 14 laps, so I don't know for the race. 13 might be able to do it. This track is on cold tires. It's not greasy, it's not really slick, but the difference in grip between your first lap and your last laps is huge. You are going to really shed a lot of time once you start getting down to the last 5 laps. So don't get too frustrated on the early laps. It is just not as much grip, and it makes a big difference. Track is 25, usage pretty low, so 7%. It's a 135.6 will do. Go through it here in slow motion and then run it out at full speed. So coming into turn 1, looking to break about the 300 board, obviously in 4th gear. Pretty good blast of brakes, shifting down into 3rd. You don't want to run wide here. You have to set up for turn 2. So hugging the right hand side uh, and just easing the throttle on. I probably turned in here a little bit too early. Probably want to turn in at the end of the light pavement here. And then just picking up the throttle. This is the long straight, so the earlier on the throttle, the better. And you can see I had to do a little extra turn in here just because I turned in a little too early and not on full power, so lost a little time here. Just make sure you're not going to run too wide. If you get into that wall, obviously your race is over. Yeah. So coming into the next one, gonna brake about 350. So between the 3 and the 4, hard on the brakes. Yeah, really hard on the brakes. And if you're drafting, you might want to brake even a little earlier. Down into 1st gear. You on hot tires, you could do this in 2nd, but I just find it a little more consistent in 1st gear. I'm not a big fan of getting on that curb. I know some people do. You may want to soften your suspension up if you want to use more of the curbs. I find them just unsettling the car a little bit too much. Use the curb here on exit, but this green stuff, you won't get an X on this light patch of green stuff, but it is slick. Your tires will spin, and it's not going to get you any faster. So just make sure you're back on the pavement before the actual grass up here to avoid that X. So coming into the next one, looking for this this second black one from the end. Gonna just give it a dab of brakes. Leaving it in 2nd gear. If you're drafting, you may be up into 3rd, but just a little dab of brakes. Bigger dab of brakes when the tires are cold. I get a little bit on this curb. I don't know if that's my favorite or not, but tight up against that curb or just getting on top of it a little bit. So I could have probably shifted up into third here, probably cost me a little bit of time. Looking for this light pole, going to get on the brakes. If you're in third, shift down into second, but on the brakes there. And then turning in, this is a really late apex, and again, well, every corner on this track you don't want to come in too hot, otherwise your car is going to be in pieces. Just hugging that curb, unwinding the wheel, and it's important, you got to get yourself over to the left pretty quick. This corner comes up pretty fast, the turn-in point and braking point, and you don't want to have your wheel at an angle when you brake for here. So looking for the signage on the right here. So if you're up into third, you want to brake down into second. I was already in second, so just a bit of brakes there just to load up the front end. I probably turned in a little too early here as well. And tight up against this as possible, getting on the power as early as possible. Just don't leave your tire behind. That's going to happen probably in lap 1 or 2, so watch out for people in front of you wiping out on entry or exit here. It's a big place to collect cars. And yeah, just getting on the throttle as early as possible. So coming into the next one, looking for that 400 board. Cold tires definitely probably at the 400 board. Hot tires, I'm braking just after the 400 board. Fourth gear, this is another big braking zone. Shifting down into second. Cold tires, you probably want to be in first for this one for the first couple of laps. I do make use of this curb. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that or not. But it does cut the track a bit. You just have to watch your throttle going over that. If you're flooring it, it can spin you. So watch out for that. Leaving it in second gear, and basically I'm looking for this marker here is the last one before the bend of this corner. So it's no way to really count it. You're coming at it too fast, but it's the last one here before the track bends, and just gonna get on the brakes. Again, cold tires, you probably want to do this in first gear for the first few laps. Even on hot tires, first gear isn't the worst thing. I do leave it in second though once the tires are hot. You have to watch just how quickly you're coming in though. You can lose the back end. You saw I had to counter steer there a little bit. So if you're in first gear, you shouldn't have any troubles, but if you're in second gear, you can get into a little bit of trouble. So keep that in mind. And then just getting tight up against the curbs here and just letting the car run out mid track. And then this is a little tricky here. You have to sort of manage the throttle a bit. You don't want to come into this corner too hot. If you come in too hot here, your back end can get a little loose, and trying to stop and turn in for this next corner is not good if your back end is wiggling around a bit. So watch the throttle here, and then looking for the bridge. Gonna get on the brakes, shifting down into first. Again, you want to try and be left here. You have to watch out though, obviously there's going to be people trying to pass here. But shifting down into first, and then again just picking up the throttle as early as possible. It's pretty late apex, and then just letting the car run out as wide as possible without hitting that wall. And then looking for the 200 board here. Just before it, getting on the brakes in third gear, shifting down into second. Yeah, and this one is really important, this section. A lot of time lost or gained here. You want to get tight up to this curb as possible, but you do not want to get on it. You get on this curb, it is going to push you wide into that wall and race over. So picking up the throttle, and it's really important here. Cold tires, you're going to have to do a little bit of lifting through here, but once the tires are hot, you want to try and keep this throttle pinned from this point on. This is a straight until turn 1, basically. So yeah, up against the wall here as close as you can. Basically, as soon as you get the car parallel with this wall, wheel straight, your car is parallel with this wall, you're basically turning in to the next corner. You have to turn in early here, you turn in late, you're not going to make it. So I had to do a little bit of a lift here. So watch that track temp. If it's a cooler track, you can get away definitely without having to lift. If it's a hotter track, you may have to do a little more lifting. And just shorten the track. Take the inside line here. And that is a 1:35.6. I think that's a decent time. But watch that track temp. It really makes a difference out here. And watch the cars in front of you and behind you. This it's a fun track to drive, but racing can be pretty dangerous here. So we'll see you on track. See you next time. Good luck out there.